Alright, falling battle debris transforming into words is a new way to do opening credits.
Coming yet.
Whew, that's an early self-sacrifice.
You missed it. How did I miss it?
One of my favorite things about this film is the blending, or more accurately, blurring of tones. Right in the opening scene, we get what seems to be building to a cheeky Bond-style cold open with spies doing cool spy stuff, and then bang! Dead Kingsman candidate and a new Lancelot with some somber music over top.
Welcome to Kingsman. Lancelot.
Sir.
What's your name, young man?
Eggsy.
Hello, Eggsy.
Apparently Eggsy was the comic book writer Mark Millar's school pal's nickname? So real name, I guess. And man, is Colin Firth wearing that suit or what? I forgot how this movie made me want to get a whole new wardrobe and then reminded me I can't afford a bespoke wardrobe.
You've made a mistake. I'm a university lecturer. I've got no money.
Did Luke just join the Empire with that accent? Still, props for a believable accent, and as I'm writing this script, it's Mark's birthday. So, happy birthday, Mark Hamill.
You're the 62 d'Almont. You will.
That's a pretty good whiskey endorsement. And now we get into Kingsman-style action. To call it unique would be a disservice and an understatement. Matthew Vaughn created a stylistic way of moving the camera around and blending hyper-fantasy with reality like no one has before, even himself from Kick-Ass. Okay, that was brutal. Don't get comfortable, that's the takeaway, got it. And I appreciate the consideration this glass of whiskey is getting.
I mean, literally. I see one drop of blood, that is me done.
That's why, like you, I generally use laser-based weapons. They cauterize, you know? Did my dad kill you? Is Colin Firth not just the most dashing dude you've ever seen?
Chechnya 2013. Insurgents turned on one another.
Church massacre shadowing.
Some climate change doomsayer expounds something called Gaia theory about the world healing itself.
Good luck convincing Mark Wahlberg.
Your little experiment failed.
With respect, Arthur, you're a snob.
With respect.
Respectfulness? Or just honesty? Everything out of Galahad's mouth sounds respectful.
Add
Add this film to the list of films that makes me sometimes wish I was British. Then I wouldn't have to Google what Rizla is. It's skins, bruv. Warming up the tires for a bruv. Alright, I'll stop. I'm sorry. Man, that's like Pug Mercy shadowing, and on a grander scale, a statement about what kind of man Eggsy is. Willing to risk his life to spare an innocent.
Foxes are vermin, cuz.
What? Foxes are vermin? Eggsy gets another one for sparing that fox. Hey, it's Dagmar Cleftjaw again. Seriously, I just can't help but smirk every time he's on screen. Someone teach me his ways.
You're looking for another rent boy. They're on the corner of Smith Street.
I like to think he was coming over here to lock the door anyway, but the rent boy crack got them a little extra attention.
Manners maketh man.
But this is kind of the mythos of the Kingsmen, or at least Galahad. They're not just spies, they're gentlemen. And if you're going to be rude, you're going to be taught some manners, whether you see it coming or not. It's just that simple. And now our second Vaughn-style fight scene. Gotta love that at least half of Galahad's fighting is just redirecting their attacks into each other's faces. And you've got to give it up to Colin Firth, who trained for 6 months to be able to fight like this. I'll go into more detail in the conclusion, but there is a reason these fight sequences stick with you. No quick cuts, long takes, and the camera always follows the action. If a one-way see-through bulletproof projectile shooting umbrella isn't a win, literally nothing is.
Sorry about that. Needed to let off a little steam.
Catharsis.
So I suggest you leave the boy alone, or I shall be forced to deliver it to the appropriate authorities.
Saving Eggsy's life twice in 5 minutes. I love this, obviously. But I'm just curious if anyone can tell me if a proficiency in gymnastics translates to parkour skills. I'm sure there's some crossover. Anyone in my audience doing both? Also, Dizzy Rascal Man. I am no British grime or hip-hop aficionado, but no one can deny bonkers.
Did you see the film Trading Places?
You didn't even see the movie about Billy Ray Valentine?
How about Nikita?
So by Nikita, he's referring to La Femme Nikita, Luc Besson's amazing film, which I always get confused with, don't get mad at me, Femme Fatale from 2002, a Rebecca Romijn movie. However, here's the fun part. Colin Firth also starred in a movie called Femme Fatale from 1991. So, super loose meta connections that keep me up at night.
Oh, like in My Fair Lady.
I bet Eggsy would have actually said Pygmalion, but the audience for that reference is so small, he had to reference the film instead. I still got what you were going for.
Kingsman tailors clothed the world's most powerful individuals.
You know, really? A tailor shop being a front for a spy agency gives a total believable background to why spies are generally so well dressed.
Your father had the same look on his face. As did I.
because even a snob can't help but crack a smile at a hanger full of toys.
Will result in you and your next of kin being in that bag. Is that understood?
The look of, what? No, that's not understood. You guys are all agreeing? What's wrong with you guys? Or, appropriate reaction.
Charlie's only making conversation, right, Charlie? I'm Digby. This is Rufus.
So, Eggsy, are you Oxford or Cambridge?
Alright guys, we had some fun talking about teen Tom Riddle's ability to imitate an American accent, and a bunch of you said most people in England talk like Eggsy. So where are all these posh boys from? They seem spread out to my dulled American ears, but Digby and Rufus sound a little like Seth MacFarlane's imitation of a posh accent. And since I have no way to confirm accents, feel free to make crap up.
Yo, man, you know me. Money's not my issue.
You can call this list lame, but isn't a speech impediment a decent and quick origin story for a villain? He was likely picked on as a kid, and if you also have a screw loose, you may become detached enough to start genociding. And then he shows us just how talented he is. Lisp? Sure. Here's a 70-second uncut, totally believable monologue. Nightmare fuel. And Jackman's rising score definitely helps. It's like a horror movie rattle. Almost seems out of place, but totally ratchets up the terror. Momentum, rule of cool. So awesome. Plus, old woman lifting car off baby. That is all.
You all forgot the most important thing. Teamwork.
Merlin knows what's up. That's a terrible way to nail that point home. Yowzers. I mean, none of us were super surprised the Joker's head was filled with Technicolor pudding, but still gross.
My colleague died.
See what I mean about the British accents? Even a talented thespian like Mace Windu can't hack it.
We're here to enhance your skills, test you to the limit. Which is why you're gonna pick a puppy.
I call that a little expectation subversion. Want to be a spy? Pick a puppy.
Merlin said we're not allowed to hold you.
Puppy resourcefulness. Although that ride looks a little rough. How do I make sure I get admitted to the will trim your beard neckline while in a coma hospital?
Just a flesh wound. Everybody listen, I've got a plan.
Gotta love Eggsy stepping up and making a plan, even when it ended up putting his life in the most danger. Whew, teamwork.
Am I the expendable candidate?
No, you don't talk to me like that. You have a complaint, you come here and you whisper it in my ear.
Mark Strong is the man. You might disagree, but for me, this is how to do product placement. Don't hide it or try to be subtle. Throw it up there, talk about it, who cares?
Every bit of research kept pointing to the same thing.
The carbon emissions are a red herring, and we're past the point of no return, no matter what remedial actions we take.
Ooh, take that, Al Gore. An inconvenient burn.
When I was a kid, that was my dream job. Gentleman spy.
Unfortunately, my bones were made of glass and my life went in a different direction.
And thank you for such a happy meal.
But seriously, where's my toy? Loyalty.
Charlie's up next. Want to watch?
Yeah, all right.
Silver linings.
True nobility is being superior to your former self.
Words to live
Words to live by.
by. Uh-oh. Get out of my head, Harry.
An Oxford is any formal shoe with open lacing. This additional decorative piece is called broguing.
Gentlemaning lessons. Also, holy crap, is this room awesome and satisfies every desire I have for order and symmetry in my life.
That is sick.
Shoe knives are also always wins.
What do these do? Electrocute you.
Don't be ridiculous. It's a hand grenade.
Shut up.
Just like Harry Potter, showing all the correct levels of excitement.
I have trouble understanding you people sometimes. You all talk so funny.
Irony.
Shoot the dog.
Every time that horn blast comes in, it sends chills up my spine. But yeah, that's a win in my book. Mercy always wins.
Mr. Pickle here reminds me of that every time I take a
That's terrible, but still sweet. I'm not one to glorify violence or murder, and everyone deserves a second chance. But this little Westboro Baptist joke, let's just say I'm not condoning the hyperbolic fantasization as catharsis of them turning on each other in a very fire and brimstone type showdown. Because you know cultish fanatics like this are always about 10 minutes away from eating their own anyway. And this may be the best hyper-violent mass destruction bloodbath fight scene to come out of the last century, like GTA come to life, unleashing what might as well be the god of war on these plebs, unadulterated visceral extravagance. As far as the use of the Freebirds solo, I can't think of every film it's in, but I can comfortably say this beats Jenny almost slipping off the ledge. I don't know, I think it was in Rush maybe? Regardless, this has to be the best use of Leonard Skinner to date. And it's a bunch of long takes, with some expertly hidden cuts for 3 minutes plus. Just, yup. Even the brutalest movies often shy away from shooting women in the face, since it makes people feel uneasy. Not Kingsman. Also, as far as brutality goes, yep, brutal. Yeah, let's just cover our brutal bases. And just when you think you've reached peak insanity, clearly Galahad is a badass, he's just a badass guy. And that was bonkers! No one saw that coming, especially not the Kingsman. Harry's face is perfect as the realization over what he just did starts to come into focus. Very ungentlemanly. Valentine actually elevated the destruction to a level he didn't even expect.
What kind of response are we talking?
100%.
Well, this ain't that kind of movie.
I know. If you've seen the trailer for Golden Circle, I know. Still, this is expectation subversion, even as it's spelled out.
It feels good, right?
No, it does not feel good. It feels awful.
Honesty.
I am inviting you to be part of a new world.
I'd rather be with Harry.
Ha! More loyalty.
Thanks.
What's wrong with them?
They probably just need some POS 51.
Congratulations, Mycroft. You just graduated from my pilot to my valet.
Yeah, cheeky.
Understood?
Eggsy Doolittle got his My Fair Lady moment after all.
Martini. Gin, not vodka, obviously, stirred for 10 seconds while glancing at an unopened bottle of vermouth.
I've heard of extra dry. I've heard pour vermouth into a glass and then pour it out. I've even heard have the bartender take a shot of vermouth and then breathe on the glass. But that is by far the best way I've heard anyone order a dry martini. Although gin is gross. Sorry, I'm with Bond on that one.
Society's dead. Long live society.
Ha! A pretty poignant phrase when you realize that Valentine is essentially attempting to make himself king, and like some dumb kings of the past, is slaughtering the majority of his new subjects. You think this guy's gonna make your Mickey D's for you? Anyone else getting an N64 GoldenEye bunker vibe from this underground corridor chase scene? Man, I hope it's deliberate. We knew Eggsy was a parkour bro, but now he's killing it on all levels, and we didn't see him get much hand-to-hand training with the Kingsman. However, first he made it at least partway through Marine boot camp, which is something. But more importantly, rather than a traditional montage of his training, sadly, you have to pay attention to the length of his hair and you'll notice how much time has passed. He's even earned a yup.
Come on, there's no need for guns. I'm just a pilot.
Yeah, a pilot who knows magic. Merlin. Didn't I just do a movie with someone using a shield against gunfire? Ooh, Diana didn't have a shotgun though.
Merlin, I'm
You know they probably won't kill Eggsy, but when you break rules like killing Galahad, the tension that's been slowly building in this set piece gets you stressed right out. And again, the building score gets your blood pumping. Henry Jackman is always a win, and by proximity, Matthew Markson must be good.
Yes, please.
Politeness. I never would have thought decapitation could make me laugh. And Vaughn took an opportunity where he could have gone full hard R gore and made an enjoyable light show instead. I think a lot more people might have enjoyed this if his neck was orange and his hair was blonde. Also, it's fantastically inventive while still reminding me of this music video from St. Lucia. Go watch it. Again, you can't help but grimace chuckle at the people punching the life out of each other all around the world with dead bodies just strewn about, set to literally some of the goofiest upbeat music in existence from KC and the Sunshine Band. And I ain't complaining about this showdown. I give Eggsy some credit for going toe-to-toe with the human blender. Also, Sophia Patella's breakdancing chops.
Stop playing with your food! Kill him!
Valentine, your metaphor is a little muddled there. She's a gazelle, but I did just hear a distinct mountain lion roar. Ooh, that's like 5 slow-mo yups and a quick thinking win for Eggsy on using Chekhov's shoe knife. So that's how she became the mummy. Hates his own gore. Also comeuppance, obviously, with a classic spy villain horn send-off no less. So that's A-Rod then? Or is it just a statement about the Yanks in general? I'll take that jab.
The part where you say some really bad pun?
This ain't that kind of movie, bruv.
Callback burn.
Perfect.
I've read tomes on how terrible and offensive this ending is. I'm just gonna let Matthew Vaughn explain it in his own words.
You like spy movies, Mr. DeVere?
Nowadays, they're all a little serious for my taste.
Fun book ending. The film opens with Dire Straits over a tape deck and ends with Brian Ferry over a tape deck app.
Are we gonna stand around here all day? Or are we gonna fight?
Yeah, they're gonna stand around. Maybe run. Definitely not gonna fight.
Iggy Azalea, still missing.
Ha! I guess they found Iggy.
Only in this case, I'm offering you the opportunity to become a Kingsman agent.
Like a spy.
Of sorts. Interested?
Yes, I'm interested. Man, there is a reason this movie is loved, and it's exactly that. I'm gonna throw out some numbers I just made up, and they're 100% accurate. 93.8% of all boys between 8 and 67 years old would love to become a spy, or more specifically, find out they're uniquely qualified to become a spy. I won't throw out numbers about girls since I'm not one, but it's also a high percentage. So yes, make me a spy. Although, except for this part. I'd fail this part hard. Kingsman is by no means the first to do it. In fact, in this very scene, they discuss similar stories. Since the majority of us watching this movie were not born with silver spoons in our mouths, there's nothing more relatable. Harry Potter might be the extreme example, being an abused orphan, but he doesn't really get to beat all his bullies up and kill bad guys, or other things.
I'll be right back.
But that's why this works so well. It's wish fulfillment to the highest degree. And sorry to disappoint, I'm not touching the controversy of the princess joke with a 10-foot pole. You either thought it was hilarious, too crass, misogyny, or just not funny. And I'm not gonna change your mind. Maybe it's all of the above. I will say I get that it was intended as a jab at Bond's misogyny and leave it at that. But speaking of James Bond, that's not the only jab this film takes. The drink order, the suave dress, the henchmen with weird appendage weapons, and the fact that the new spies all take on an Arthurian knight name as a codename, which could be referencing the common theory that James Bond is nothing more than a secondary codename beyond 007. As far as them being Knights of the Round Table, I almost wonder if this was a tip of the hat to say, well, only in name, really. If I'm not mistaken, the entire reason behind the Round Table was having no head. Sure, King Arthur was king, but when they sat at the table, they were equals. At least that's what First Knight led me to believe, until Guinevere and Richard Gere messed it all up. Anyway, I think the point was that these knights or kingsmen were not really as gentlemanly as they presented themselves. Arthur had been turned, and Merlin was quick to say they didn't know who they could trust. And the moment the non-round table is introduced, Arthur shows his classism and how he was still prejudiced against a lower-class kid even after he gave his life to save Galahad, Merlin, and the other candidate who became Lancelot. So by no means did all the kingsmen see each other as equals.
At least the girl's got balls.
There's also something I breezed over during the church fight. It can get lost in how amazing the choreography and mayhem is. But I think the whole thing is also supposed to make you uneasy. I joked, but no one, and I do mean no one, deserves this. And even if Galahad dislikes these people and tells them off,
So hail Satan, and have a lovely afternoon, madam.
This was nothing he would ever condone. If you remember, he was being shot at, giving him every right to retaliate in kind. And instead, he just knocks the kid out. He doesn't believe in senseless killing, and when you really pay attention, it's clear how completely out of their league he is. Might as well be killing kittens. I think it destroys him so much that he wouldn't even try to defend himself at this point. So the question is, how desensitized are we? It's as if Vaughn used his own mind control on us with the complexity and adrenaline of the sequence so that we were pumping our fists and cheering Galahad on. And then after, he gives us the proper amount of time for reflection. What just happened? Something to think about. Also, it's just a goofy movie, so don't think too long. As far as this film's message, I always have to chuckle when I read how this movie is propaganda of one political party and then someone else will say it's an indictment of said political party. I don't really think it's either, Obama's head exploding aside. I see the super elite Kingsman Taylors as a statement about how neither is perfect.
About the politics and bureaucracy that undermine the integrity of government-run spy organizations.
Great! Idealism! We've established that your government-run spy organization is bad, unless you don't know it exists.
So freaky how there's no recognizable name for the Chinese Secret Service.
But your privately run spy agency was taken over by environmentalist fanatics. So the message, if there is one, is, to quote Barney Stinson, suit up and fix it yourself. And if I have any politics, it's that. Don't murder anyone, but it's up to you to make things change. Moving on. In one of his recent obsessive pop culture disorder videos, the smartest man to ever grace YouTube with his presence, Daniel OBrien, called Kingsman a "nuff said" movie. I don't agree with everything he says, but Kingsman definitely is a nuff said movie. Clearly, I rarely hit nuff said, but he's totally right. And a large part of that, in my opinion, has to do with what Matthew Vaughn contributed to action movies through this film. Powerful, fast, punchy action that you never get lost in. I'm not an expert, but the best way I can describe the action scenes is that they're perfectly intelligible shaky cam. Based on going through it frame by frame, because it seemed like a good use of my time to go through each fight scene frame by frame, I'm fairly certain most of it's done with the edit. As in, the camera is mostly stationary during filming, still handheld occasionally, but very minimal practical shake. The shake and zoom seem to be primarily done in the edit, which gives every fight this awesome effect. And he removes frames right before impact, making them feel faster and stronger. Occasionally, it's almost like they used a snorri cam on particular objects, where the camera is pinned to the subject. And like I mentioned earlier, no quick cutting and jerking the camera around. It's mostly long takes where you can see exactly what's going down. It's amazing. It's snap, zoom, slow-mo, and ramping done in a new and easy-to-follow way. Beyond the action, everything is so clean and crisp, right out of a magazine. Wide scenery shots are generally symmetrical, pristine, smooth, and almost manufactured looking. Then, when we get into the human drama and conflict, the camera picks up speed and shows the flaws and dirt. They use a shallow focus on people's faces and often a vignette focus on mid and wide shots where you'll notice people's shoes are blurry, or even a fisheye in the prison to add to the feeling of confinement. It's just a beautiful film to watch at all times that either pulls you in or makes you step back in awe. And this film was surprisingly yet perfectly cast. I didn't expect Colin Firth to get quite as much buzz as he did while still looking debonair. But he did, and as a surrogate father to Eggsy, you believe their relationship and feel the full weight of his death. And as far as a rags to riches story about a kid from the projects, Taron Egerton sells it. For a kid who hadn't done a whole lot up into this film, he carries the story really well. And as just his origin story, I'm excited to see him get more to do in Golden Circle. Michael Caine and Samuel L. Jackson can pretty much do no wrong, and the rest of the supporting cast all held their own. One of the bigger standouts was Mark Strong, especially with just a backgroundish character. So it looks like Golden Circle isn't getting the love the Secret Service got. I haven't seen it yet, but I've read enough of those doesn't capture groundbreaking wonder of the first yada yada reviews I guaranteed for Deadpool 2 to at least ignore a lot of the discord. You know I like to judge movies for myself. I'd really like to get to it in theaters, but I'll have to see if Jude's up for it. He doesn't like Julianne Moore, so we'll have to see how that conversation goes. Next week, another movie.
But if I had, I'd have given you an extra open of Secret Souls.
It's definitely St. Andrews. Definitely St. Andrews. Definitely St. Andrews. Definitely St. Andrews.